Welcome everyone. This is Kaan, founder of Hackquarters, and I'm quite happy to have you here. Today we are going to talk about agriculture and agricultural technologies, which is a burning topic with everything happening in the world. Food is something that we love. Sustainability is one of the things that we are really trying to be cautious right now to understand and make it more sustainable. So before I start, few house rules. So if you are an attendee, your cameras and microphones will not be open, so you can take a breather, so there will be no problems at all. Basically, you can use chat function or Q&A. We have great speakers today. Maybe you are interested in some particular questions. While they are presenting something or they are speaking, you can always use the Q&A function and we will try to get your questions answered. Maybe at the end of the session, we can also cover a few of the things as well. Other than that, if you have anything else, you can see it. And through the chat, you might have some more information about our speakers if you want to connect with them after the event. So today's agenda is I will keep you for a few more minutes. I will talk about our program, WorkupAgri, and how we are doing this and what kind of startups we are having in the program. So if you are interested in those details, we would be happy to connect with you, our startups too. Then from İş Bank, we will have Kerem, the department manager at İş Bank, and he will talk about Agritech perspective from a bank perspective. Then we will have Yves. Yves Filippucci is the VP Digital Transformation Manager at Coca-Cola for Eurasia and Middle East. So he will have a keynote with us for the digital transformation in FMCG industry. So which is interesting because most of the food is processed through that industry. And finally, we have two great investors, Domagoj and Ezechi, with us. So I will have some questions if you're a startup, if you are interested in some questions as well, please make sure that you write it in the Q&A section. And again, if you will have a little bit more time, we can actually answer your questions at the end of the session. So a little bit about Hackquarters. I don't know if it's your first time or you are like a regular in our events. We've been working with a lot of big companies, including İş Bank. We are doing different innovation programs and we are trying to enable growth in the innovation ecosystem. It generally takes a startup and a corporate to make it a good effort, and we accelerate those impacts through our programs. We are trying to make you grow. If you are a corporate or a startup engaging with innovation ecosystems, we are trying to find the right connections for you, sometimes a partner, sometimes a client, and we are enabling you to make a change. So in all of our programs, we are trying to see real impact rather than just the idea itself. Since our inception 7 years ago, we worked with so many different companies and startups, which made a lot of impact, and we see where this comes in. So if you are not familiar with WorkupAgri, we started in a year's time. So we were planning it for like a year right now. And right now we have 6 great startups in our program. For this program, we received 130 applications. Most of the startups were in Turkey. That's since İş Bank is quite predominant in Turkey, this program was quite designed to Turkish ecosystem. But when you talk about food, when you talk about sustainability, agriculture, farming, this is quite global. So their solutions are not for a region, it is quite applicable to somewhere else. So if you're interested in connecting with them, I will just mention them a little bit. So when we designed this program, we were really interested in smart agriculture, well use of resources and energy, which is quite scarce right now. We have a lot of crises around it. We have distribution supply chain, water stewardship. Basically, we have limited water in the world and we are trying to make the best use of it. Of course, climate action is something that we are always talking right now, even like in our daily speeches now, it always comes to climate action. And there are other topics that we are interested in, which can actually change how we live our lives. So we left it a little bit open, but all of the startups who applied one way or another was connected to these themes that we were interested in. Out of this 130 startups, we actually shortlisted nine of them and accepted 6 of them. The rest of the companies we are still trying to work as İş Bank and as in our like mentors and our partners. So it always brings a bigger impact when we do it. And let me just briefly talk about our startups. So the 6 startups we selected for this program, you can see a better description of each of them. But basically, 3P Metrics is a platform for you to understand your carbon footprints. So you can know what is your impact to industry and how you can actually set it off. Being carbon neutral is getting a big topic, and especially the big companies need it more than ever. B-Plant is something else. They have a hardware product that enables royal jelly to be produced without the need of beekeeper, because bees are quite essential to our life. And it is kind of getting harder for people to do it, but their products actually make gardens and other places to make a lot of bee friendly, and it's really interesting. Local Greens actually disrupting supply chain, because you know, our food travels a lot. So in their methodology, they are trying to set up shops technically, which you can actually grow your own produce. So from, let's say, farm to fork, it makes it really small distances, which makes it more affordable and also sustainable as well. Solgel is something different. They're a nanocomposite, super absorbent polymer. This is required for farming, especially when we are talking about water. So it is quite efficient in terms of water absorption. So you don't really need to overwater your farms. That's incredibly impactful on how we do farming. Wastepresso is something we all love, right? We have coffees and raw materials. Basically, they're upcycling those raw materials to do in disposable plastics, which is number one thing that we are talking about when we talking about environmental waste. What WeCow is our last startup. They have an artificial intelligence and those hardwares actually used in cattle breeding. So when you have cattle babies, or when you are farming with cattle, you can actually use it for health indicators in your farm, which is making your farms a little bit smarter. So our program actually started last August. We were expecting the applications. Then we started roughly on October. Now we are coming to an end. We will have a demo day, a physical one in Istanbul. So hopefully we will hope to see you at that event as well. But you will see the documentation of the startups after this event too. So if you want to work with them, if you want to invest in them, they have in different paths right now. But right now we are on track to have a really nice demo day with a lot of good success stories. Actually, I'm all okay on my side. So if Kerem is available, you can turn on your camera and I can leave the stage to you. Kerem Akıner, the department manager of İş Bank. So Kerem, I'm going to leave the screen to you. And I'm just going to turn off.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Kaan, for this brief introduction. It was very helpful. And many thanks to all Hackquarters team for this great event. I'm Kerem, working as head of agricultural banking department, which is an agile tribe of İş Bank. I'm very happy to be with you today. Meeting and sharing ideas with all of you with the same approach is very important for agricultural ecosystem for me. For the ones who are not familiar to İş Bank, let me give you a few primary information. Our bank is the biggest private bank of Turkey with 21 million customers, over 1,000 local branches, and over 20,000 employees. When we consider together with our financial and non-financial subsidiaries, we are one of the largest corporate groups in Turkey with almost 100 years of history and experience. In line with our sustainable finance and responsible banking approach, we focus to evaluate cost-effective financing opportunities for sustainability-linked loans and services in all segments. As İş Bank, we contribute to the reduction of risks and impacts stemming from climate change in many aspects, and our focus on agriculture sector is just one of them. The concentration created by our bank in the field of agriculture is very high. Since 2012, we work in this sector in a much more concentrated way than before. And as a result of this, our agricultural unit has grown up and become an agile tribe, working 5 teams with agile methodology. More than 100 of our colleagues are with farmers in fields every day, visiting them in their own area. Thus, we have a real-time and mutual connection with the sector. Besides conventional goals, we have 2 main objectives in agricultural banking. Firstly, to bring effectively together agriculture, technology, and finance through advanced investments we have made and will continue to make in new technologies and digital agricultural practices. And the second is increasing the financial, digital, ecological, and of course agricultural awareness of the farmers, producers, in order to strengthen the sustainability in the sector and increase the resilience and efficiency of agricultural production. It is obvious that we need to better understand complex structures of agriculture sector and interactions with other sectors and offer better solutions. In addition to global climate change and its effects, unfortunately, input costs are really high and continues to rise all over the world. So in terms of sustainability, efficiency, and cost reduction, we can easily say that agritechs are essential more than ever for us, for all of us. Areas such innovation, entrepreneurship, digital transformation, and sustainability should become important parts of agricultural sector. As of today, when we talk about agricultural banking, we do not only understand the financing of agricultural production, processes, investment, and as İş Bank, we do not position ourselves limited to providing this financial support only. We understand and consider it as a priority task to support ecosystem in a very wide range, from the producer who puts seeds in the field and to the investment of a startup which has an agricultural application for mobile phones. As well as banking transactions here, we also focus on digitalization of our customers, production processes, and the agriculture sector in general. The most important example of this, our in-house entrepreneur İMeceMobil, is by far the most comprehensive and innovative farmer application in Turkey. İMeceMobil was founded in 2019. More than 70,000 farm and livestock facilities are already registered in the application, which has more than 150,000 active users. Agriculture, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. These 3 are among the main strategic priorities of our bank, and WorkupAgri is an important program that combines all of these. I would also like to mention that we opened an entrepreneurship branch at our headquarters building in Istanbul as a first in Turkey. This branch only serves startups and entrepreneurs with customized service model. We will increase the number of these branches to 3 by opening new ones in Ankara and Izmir this year. Now, I would like to talk about how and why we started WorkupAgri program briefly. As İş Bank, our support to agricultural startups started with a competition for Agritech in 2019. Since sustainability in agriculture is linked with technology, we wanted to see the potential of Agritech in Turkey, Agritech ideas, MVPs, young entrepreneurs in this sector. Of course, we were aware of startups in technologies, but startups focused on agriculture was a question mark, and the result was very satisfactory. We got more than 100 applications, and many of them were acceptable. After a selection process, which was very hard for us, we announced a list, created an entrepreneur network. Then we learned a lot from them and kept organizing this event 2020. 2 years of experience excited us, but also encouraged us to turn this into a permanent and sustainable program. These two organizations, these two competitions created the basis of WorkupAgri Acceleration Program. With the contribution of our entrepreneurship unit and, of course, Hackquarters team, for the future of agriculture in Turkey, we created a new axis within Workup program, which our bank has successfully carried out for more than 5 years. With WorkupAgri, we provide our full support to agricultural entrepreneurship and try to help many of our startups to receive investment, grow and develop and create new business models. We have very valuable mentors in WorkupAgri. We have partners such as Hackquarters. We have an entrepreneurship team that has successfully run the Workup program for more than 5 years, as I said. That's why we believe that WorkupAgri is one of the important steps taken to deepen, expand, and scale agricultural entrepreneurship in our country. Now, today, our first WorkupAgri program is almost done. During this period, we had a very close connection with each of them. In our Agile department, all our teams work closely with our WorkupAgri startups. With regular weekly meetings, we had a chance to get fresh updates from startups and from their world. And in line with our program, we used all our sources, contacts, not only at İş Bank, also at our sharing companies, corporate customers, societies, our Image Mobile application, our e-commerce company, Pazarama, etc., etc. I find this synergy very valuable, and we see tangible effects of this in our entrepreneurs' journey. I'm very happy that we created one of the major Agritech acceleration program with Hackquarters, and we plan to organize this program every year in 2 terms and hope to contribute agriculture sector and entrepreneurship in our country in various topics. Thank you for your time. I'm very excited to listen to our following speakers.
Hi, Kerem. Thank you very much. I mean, İş Bank is one of the biggest organizations in Turkey, not just a bank. And as you said, like when we talk about open innovation, you have your startups, you have your farmer clients, you have your technology providers. And as we know, like urbanization hurt farmers and production significantly, because like starting after the Second World War in the world, everybody somehow left their like rural areas and where they used to do farming and stuff. Now we need smart people going back to their roots, producing ecologically friendly foods with healthy and sustainable choices. And for that, we need more impact. We have great startups in this program, but if you are interested in, I mean, if you're already an agriculture startup founder, maybe you'd also like to connect with like Kerem and İş Bank overall to do POCs in Turkey or their like clients everywhere. So Kerem, I would love to thank you, because like we love Workup program, we love how we are trying to help entrepreneurship ecosystem. On behalf of Hackquarters, I would like to thank you for joining us today as well.
Very much.
So if you have any questions to Kerem, do not mind asking them through our like Q&A sections. So maybe we can move to the next presentation. As I told you, like FMCG or CPG, fast-moving consumer goods, is a huge part of where we consume what we do in the farms, right? From oils and cocoa butters to many other products that we buy from the supermarket. So if you are here and ready, Nice to see you again, an old friend, which we couldn't see each other for a long while, and really happy to have you here. I think that you have a presentation for us, and if you would like, with like introduction, maybe we can hear a little bit about who is Yves Lipucci.
Sure. Thank you very much, Kaan, for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here with every one of you. I had the chance also to meet a few of the startups that is part of the of this acceleration program, and I was really amazed on how much they were doing. I mean, it was an impressive. I learned a lot. So about myself, this is Yves. I'm leading data transformation for Coca-Cola company in the Eurasia and the Middle East region. I've been with the company for almost 4 years now, and before that, I had a long story with Nestle, locally and globally. And again, even before that, I was part of the Coca-Cola group in Coca-Cola Agritech. So basically, I'm a marketeer, commercial guy, and then transform into a digital person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also waiting very much what you are going to talk about. So if you can share your screen, I would be happy to leave you with our audience. So maybe I'll also have my questions as well. Good luck.
Sure, sure, with pleasure, with pleasure. So let me think. I assume that you see well my screen, I assume, right?
We can see it well.
Perfect, perfect. So in Coca-Cola, we're trying to move our digital transformation, starting by digitizing the company itself. So that's why the function that I'm leading here is called offline to online. We see Coca-Cola company as a very offline company. So that's why whatever we do is really to disrupt the way we do business and to create a way to make this company an online company in the next few years. So moving ahead, as I told you, we need to reinvent now the way we do business because we need to win in this digital world, and it's not only enough anymore to be available everywhere in the offline world. So that's why we decide to have a dual strategy. We call it one of the present forward and future back. The present forward is really to digitize the existing customer base, the existing core business that we have right now. It's really to transform the offline business, not only our business, but our business, our partners' business at the same time, because we are believing into that our business is part of a bigger ecosystem that we can influence very heavily, and we want them also to transform as long as we do. So digitizing the core is our present forward approach, and the future back is really to expand to new customer or consumer centric digital business models. So to find a way to maximizing the impact in order to drive new revenue streams on whatever we do, or we don't do now, but we will do in the future. So I will try to depict a very in few minutes from what we do today and what is the plan for the next 10 years, at least to give you an overview on where we stand right now. So first, we say, okay, we have to fix our foundation. So the inside of the company that will help to be us, from an inside our perspective, how to prepare the full company to be ready for the next 10 years. Then you will see the present forward approach, where to focus from a consumer customer base, and then from a future back perspective, what will be our main big bets that we will tap on. So start with the inside out. Everything starts with the culture and people. So the first thing that we are really focusing on is to create the right culture within the company, within our partners, with our bottling partners, with our customers, to have an empowering culture, to be able to be agile enough, to be decentralized, and to work collaboratively, but also with a very coordinated way that will allow us to work in this digital environment. But that also requires obviously a lot of reskilling, upskilling on certain areas. But the mindset that we are trying to put here behind is to put more on this learn, unlearn, relearn mindset, embedded with this entrepreneurial, I would say, behavior to drive, to have more empowerment and to drive, to have a self-initiating culture. So while doing that, we start to build obviously what is our one of the main assets, our people in the ground. Now, but obviously we have a very offline route to market. So that's why now we are start to build with our bottling partners a digital route to market. So we start from their back office to all this CRM studies, to how to tackle everything related on the technology side, and then we move to the customer. What to do with the customer, how to digitize the customer, where to start, how to start, and then how to and then focusing on the sales force. So even though we will move to a digital world, we still need those people on the field, because actually they are the ones who are really in charge of leading really Coke. So that's why it's really important for us to have them, to give them a new way to do business for a different perspective. So to give them a new role by not only taking orders, because that could be digitized very easily, but for them to create a technology or capabilities that can really focus on to develop their business and their customers' business. And obviously everything is under a change management perspective and processes that help us to be more process oriented and help us to be more disciplined in our change management. The third one is the digital production. I mean, all our production obviously is offline. However, we are planning, we are actually now producing the digital twins of our plants in order to increase the line utilization, to reduce the out of stock, but also to have an impact on our sustainability KPIs. It is important for us to start. We start by monitoring what is happening in the lines during the production, and to start with some alarming stuff and notification. But along the way, we start to create some even more deep analysis, more prediction analysis behind it. So to have really an automated machine decision process behind that is serving also even the sales team, but also the planning team as well. So there is an ecosystem behind it, which is all connected and is feeding each other. So that's why after that, I wanted to talk about a little bit of connected planning. We are trying to build a capability which is basically AI-led for volume forecast, for sell-in, sell-out, to create a optimized demand planning process, so we can have a bigger visibility for the next few months or even weeks. So that's why it's important for us also to to create the right fulfillment and to make sure that we are serving well our customers and consumers, obviously, with the SLAs that we promise. And then fulfillment. Now, fulfillment is really critical, and you will know that even in the startup world, you know, especially for the startup that are doing that their business is really strongly tied to logistics, etc., is the most critical thing. If you can do the fulfillment, the logistics right, your business is profitable. If not, you have the possibility to drill down the business, go down. So that's why now we are focusing on how to create a better solution on fulfillment, more automized process, automized warehouses and cars, and etc. So moving forward, we are really focusing on four main areas to serve our consumers and customers. So the first one is the B2C business, where we're trying to create some platforms with an ecosystem behind it to serve the promotion and loyalty scheme around our markets. And the same goes within the B2B area, where we really want to be the point of contact for other CPGs as well to join our platform ecosystem, so we can serve all of us all together, our customers, more in a lean way, but also to create a new revenue stream for our company. Obviously, digital commerce now is on the rise, and what we are really focusing on is really to create strong partnerships, you know, to serve the on-demand consumers, which is key. And beyond, we want to create new ways to sell our products. So that's why now we are more focusing also in part of the offline to online world, how we can create some, we can add some smartness in the assets that we put on stage. So now one of the smart coolers, for example, are one of the projects that we are working on. It is working with an app, etc. So it's easy to place them wherever it is available within the cities. Even in some markets, we are even putting those coolers at the basement of each apartment or each building, so consumers can go down and directly buy from there in a very easy way. So we're trying to increase our touch points with the consumer through the help of our digital work. And coming to the future back, we believe that along the way everything will move from a product perspective to an experience perspective, because we believe on a digital experience that will exist. So the digital reality will be there. So we need to create the right experiences in the meta world and also in the offline world, and without a friction. So this is what we have already started to work on, starting with to create an interchangeable economy through blockchain and so cryptocurrency, etc. But and also to create the right operating system that can create that bridge between the offline and the meta world. Obviously, everything will be super, personalized in the next few years. So that's why the data will become obviously something where it will be tradable probably. So this is what we envision. So that's why we're trying to build an infrastructure where we will be able to, through the data coming up, to serve personalized products for our consumers. Before ending, I would like to also, having this audience here, also talk about very briefly on our sustainability roadmap along the way. We are focusing on three major things. This first is the packaging, water, and climate. So we globally are we're committing to a 25% reusable packaging. Coming to our region here, we are pledging to make 100% of our packaging, PET especially, recyclable, and use at least 50% of this recycled material in our plastic packaging again. So and obviously with that, on top of it, recycling and collecting all our PET bottles is one of the very important KPI that we have, that we put a lot of emphasis on it. So so that's why we are putting some challenging targets to meet that, but we are keen to collect the 100% of the packaging in Turkey, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, that we will be selling until then. Water, obviously, we are working to increase our water efficiency by 20%, which is key. So that's why we are also putting a lot of investment in our plants and to aim for water neutrality and help secure this this KPI, as basically main of our plants are where this water scarcity exists. So that's why it's really important to meet that KPI for us. And climate, obviously, so now we are aiming to run 100% renewable electricity and make them all the manufacturing plants zero carbon neutral. And so that's why it's also important for us to meet the carbon emission targets. So that's why the aim is to reduce by 13%, including the production line, but also from cooler distribution, etc. So I wanted to give you just a small glimpse of what we are trying to do in terms of the digital transformation journey that we have. So, and please give me some shouts or if you put your question in the chat. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. I know it's always hard to do the presentation without the audience itself, because you feel like you are speaking to the wall. So actually, Marika asked something about asynchronous culture, the first thing that you were actually mentioning. Would you like to elaborate on that? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So asynchronous culture for us is really to be able to work as a network. So what do I mean is, for example, now we are having examples where we are creating teams from around the world that works for just one product launch, for example. As an example, we have in a new brand called the Topo Chico hard seltzer. It is the first product where we have the first time in history a low amount of alcohol in it. Mm-hmm. So there was a global launch that was planned in few markets like the US, Mexico, Japan, a few in UK, Germany, but it was all around the world. So we created a team around the world that was able, for example, the US were starting the day, and then after those people were ending their day, they were passing through that work to the ones who were, for example, were waking up, for example, the ASEAN in Asia. So they were continuing that work, and then so there was a team working 24 hours by almost every day, and based on that, we were able to launch that product on a global scale in only 6 or 8 weeks.
It's incredible for this.
Usually, usually those things are happening in 6 months, if lucky, in the CPG sector. And this was like a test for us, and that really give us now the courage to work more as an asynchronous way.
I mean, if somebody else would like to ask any questions, maybe write on chat or Q&A section. And also you can find Yves' LinkedIn if you want to connect with him. I'm really glad that like climate pledge actions that Coca-Cola is willing to put on, including the climate, water, and packaging. So it's always great to see that. Hopefully some of our startups will solve these problems with you, so you can do the partnerships and actually reach out your goals with great networking effect. So thank you very much, Yves. It's always nice to see you. And let me move with the next session in our agenda. So the next session that we have is the last one. And Domagoj and Ezici, if you are here, sorry for the small delay. I would love to talk about founding of this thing. So Domagoj and Ezici, perfect. Nice to see you guys here. Let me just turn off that so we can actually people can see you. Before I start my questions, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe Domagoj, we can start with you. I think you're in Croatia, right?
Yeah, I'm in Croatia. My origins are from Croatia. I'm now managing partner of the Feels Good. This is a venture capital fund with a social impact. This is my third fund, VC fund actually. Previously, I was in SCV. This is also a venture capital fund here in ex-Yugoslavia, let's say, region. Before that, I was leading one seed fund in the largest R&D institute in Croatia. So this Feels Good fund that I'm currently managing, it's 30 million euros large. We started last year. So the idea is actually, besides the financial return that we have to perform for our investors, we have to show the impact to the society. This is linked to 17 categories defined by UNDP. This is the Sustainable Development Goals. So each of our startup should fulfill the KPIs in financial terms and in these social impact terms.
Okay. I mean, sounds great. We love sustainability goals. We are always, I mean, even the company is not impact oriented, we are looking for ways to make them at least create some impact along the way. This is the way to go, right?
It's a little bit stretched term, yeah.
Yeah, nice to have you here. And Ezici, would you like to talk about yourself as well?
Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm Ezici Britton, or Ez, as most people know me. I'm one of the founding members, principal investor and CTO in residence for ImpactX Capital. So we're a venture capital fund that also invests for impact, but slightly different focus. We focus on there being, we basically look for underrepresented founders. So we look for founding teams, or at least one member is from an underrepresented background by either virtue of gender or race. So fundamentally, 96% of funding has gone to all white male founding teams. So we target that 4% that doesn't seem to get much funding at all. We've been operating for the last few years. We're still building, this is our first fund, we're still building our large fund, but we've been able to do about 10 investments already. And within that time, we've already seen our first unicorn, which was an insurtech company with 2 mixed race founders. Actually, they were only the second black run unicorn to have come out of the UK. So we're already seeing impact from our activities and what we're doing. In a former life, I wasn't an investor, I was actually a technologist. I was a fintech founder in the UK, so I founded a startup called Neighbour, which is an online lending company, where I was the CTO. And for 10 years before that, I was in the investment banking technology space. I was a developer at Lehman Brothers and then Credit Suisse. So fintech, innovation, investment, and I keep getting told to talk more about this, but I recently received an MBE this year for services to diversity and young people. So that's me.
I mean, I personally also, I'm rooting for the diversity for sure. I mean, all of us are doing that, but the great thing is we see so many successes from minorities. It can be a gender minority, it can be race minority, it can be asylum seekers, because this is the map that we see in US, for example, like the half of the unicorns founding team, some were originated as a minority, either like religion, race, whatsoever, because when you are on a minority in a community, you need to hustle more. So you know how to do it. You have less privileges, which makes you hardworking anyway. So this is a good start to do it. Even if like this 4% represented in a community, I'm sure that the impact will be quite high, not really proportional to what they've been doing in the market. So I would like to talk about a little bit food, like on agriculture, the food itself, it's a big problem and it's growing significantly. I mean, we had the pandemic, then we have a war right now. It's really unfortunate still we are seeing wars in the world, and that breaks a lot of supply chains, which is, I don't think that people were realizing that, because basically you go to buy your bread in your supermarket, but you don't really know where the wheat is coming from. So it is really interesting. Then we see a lot of things, and what we've seen is huge growth in agricultural technology investments. I think full year last year, it was like $50 billion, and it grew like 100% from the year 2020. So if I'm just going to ask you, like, how do you feel like, especially food and agriculture tech related startups, do you see them growing still kind of exponentially? Who would like to start?
Tom, how about you go?
Yeah, well, I believe that this will grow, but not exponentially, to be honest. I had two Agritech companies in my last portfolio. One of them is already in my existing portfolio. And I know that there is increasing, as you said, increasing interest to invest into Agritech, but I think it's a little bit overperformed. I think it's a little bit of a bubble. So I think that the investments will grow, but I don't think that this will happen exponentially.
I see. And as, would you like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Let's be honest, there was a massive explosion of capital in Agritech last year, and that's largely been driven by downstream investments in e-grocery. Right, we saw what happened with gorillas and the rest, and that's because for those 2 years consumer habits changed significantly because they had to, right? We had to eat at home. Will that continue going forwards? Will investors continue to focus on that space? What we have seen is a big focus in late stage deals, bigger early stage deals as well. So I think the e-grocery space will calm down, and we'll start to see more focus on some of the other issues that are going to start really coming to the forefront. You mentioned supply chain, there's cost of energy, fertilizer is becoming extremely expensive, right? Exactly. As well as the drive to net zero. So I think what you'll start to see is a bigger focus on upstream businesses, seeing more and more investment. But I think, we'll see some growth, but I don't think it'll be quite as explosive as this year.
I mean, when I was a young fool, now I'm a middle-aged fool, but when we started the college, we had a graduate degree, which was called like material science. And as an engineering degree, that was most probably the first time I was hearing it. And I was thinking like, why do we need materials for? Like, we know a lot of stuff, we can build whatever we want to do. But if you want to do an undergraduate degree or bachelor's on material science, I didn't really understand it in early 2000. So, but then I realized that actually we needed so much materials. And even when we are talking about like Agritech, now in our other programs in sustainability, we see like vertical farming, steel wools, which is produced from something else, or upcycled material. So again, like it was really, really interesting. Now we are seeing so many different like nanotechnology enabled particles and everything. So you also mentioned like e-retailers or e-groceries raised significant amount of funding, like Getir is one of them, Gorillas is another one of them, GoPuff. They all kind of become unicorns. So when you are sitting at home, you can get something delivered in 10 to 20 minutes, which is great. But we will also have those environmental and social costs, I think. Like in terms of impact and the cost of how we are doing our agriculture. So what do you think that we will see some changes in the procedures that we are developing our product to eat? So Ezechi, would you like to start this one?
So I think same thing. If we look at the mega trends out there around people wanting to eat more healthily, they want to eat more sustainably, but they want that food delivered to them. But then we also look at what's happening to the supply chain as well. I think what we'll see is a very powerful shift to more locally produced foods, which will mean a dramatic change in how we actually source those foods, how we farm them. I mentioned fertilizer earlier, but it's like, how do we fix the nitrogen in the soil if we don't have access to all these expensively produced, extremely energy intensive products such as fertilizer? And what does that do to our supply chain? How do we deliver those goods when we can't get the diesel to shift them from one location to another? So there's actually a startup in your batch, I think, that's focused on vertical farming within cities.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to start to see more and more solutions focused on far more local, far more regional solutions that are more akin to what those areas are able to produce. So rather than shipping and transporting goods from all over the planet, which increasingly is going to become unsustainable, especially as we start to see new policies come into place. So the new European CAP policy, so the agricultural policy for 2022 is coming in. That will drive various behaviors as well. And every country is starting to drive towards net zero as well. And on top of that, we're seeing further incentives to move away from petrol, gasoline, and diesel and to go electric. So there's a whole host of changes that are going to happen in regards to the supply chain that's going to drive a lot of interest.
Yeah, I mean, definitely agree. Like, we have so many mega trends happening in the same topics. Like, we are talking about Agritech, but when you need fertilizer, it's actually an energy crisis, because technically you can use it for diesel and everything. Should we keep diesel, or can we convert everything to electric? So this is another topic, but it boils down to the same point. So thank you for all of them. And Domagoj, would you like to add something as well?
Well, nothing clever, to be honest. It's just one more challenge that we've learned in the last 8 years. In my last portfolio, but in this one, I have one company which produces farm management software. It's called Agrivi. So actually, this is an app with a knowledge base which helps farmers when to grow, when to give the fertilizers, when to do everything what they need to do for specific species on specific land and so on. Having the satellite images, biomass and so on. The problem is there is so many technologies right now, and the farmers are not so adapting, let's say. Yeah, adapting. So this, I think, see this as a big challenge, because these companies which really gives a knowledge and with the technologies that can be more efficient and the cheaper and with better quality, and actually you cannot penetrate to this market. So this is one of the challenges, that how to present this technology and how to implement these technologies on a market, really to the end producer, let's say. Yeah.
I mean, I think both Kerem and Eve also mentioned that, like, the literacy, technological literacy is important, because if you go to like 2-3 generations before, basically, if your family was doing like farming, and they would maybe tell you like the first rain of April is a good time to start, I don't know, like putting the seeds for some vegetable, right? Because this is how they learned from years and years, because we didn't have that data, but we know the stars, we know the weather. So when it's going to happen, if you are going to have any kind of frostbite, which will kill some of the food on the farm. So now we have a lot of data, and we want to do our things on the basis of it, but there's kind of a culture crash. So most of the people that I see in agriculture tech, they're not coming from like farmer families. So they're kind of urban people. Then they realize that what we are eating is weird because it comes from all different places. It might have some kind of non-bio pesticides and everything. And they're saying that there should be a better way to do it. And they're trying to reinvent things. And this is kind of the clash. Then you go to the farmer, you should use this app. It is not that easy, because those people still doing their processes from a long time ago. Do you guys, would you like to elaborate on that? Yeah,
I'd love to touch on that because I think that's a really interesting point. This idea of what's the word? How do you get farmers to adopt this type of technology and the rest? So adoption. And we've seen the same problem in fintech with banking and neo-banking and challenger banks and the rest of it. And I think finance has a solution to this, right? Because access to finance is one of the great big levelers, and it's one of those things that really drives technology adoption. And what you're starting to see is a breed of startups helping to leverage data to enable access to finance. So there's an interesting startup in the UK, Breeder, which allows farmers to collate data on their cows, which they can then leverage in order to almost turn their cows into an invoiceable asset, which allows them to then go and raise finance against the value of their cows in the future. So that's actually encouraging them to take on some of these systems and take on some of this data tracking in order to be able to get access to finance, which then drives all the other activities that they need to do and the investments that they need to do. So I think one of the areas of Agritech that is rarely spoken about, is almost calling it agri-fintech, is something that's going to be a big game changer over the next few years. And we've seen fintech explode across UK in the banking sector. It will be interesting to see whether that particular niche is an area that starts to gain ground in the Agritech space.
I mean, I definitely believe in lead by example, because like creating awareness is good for so long, but all it takes a strong company to do something, then people start realizing it. I mean, this is what we've seen in most of the revolutions, right? You have a great fintech, everybody's kind of on edge if it's going to pick up or not. When it picks up, then the market is created. Then everybody rushes back in because I remember, like, it is for most of the industries, right? We've been doing this accelerators for 7 years, and we were talking to traditional companies saying that there are so many companies emerging right now, and you need to understand what they are doing just to service it or to invest it. And most of them were really saying that, oh, we are already big enough, we have the talent to do it. And now we see the shift, like just talking to UK or Turkey, the largest companies in the market are quite young companies, not the ones that are like 100, 200-year-old family-owned businesses who had thousands of employees for a century. So we see the change quite significantly. I mean, I think our time is up. So what I'm just going to say is, first, for the people who are still with us, we shared a feedback link. If you can fill that, I would be really happy. And then I want to just ask you like my closing question, which will be a little bit different, because for both of you, like you either worked for a company or invested in companies, and we always give some tips to founders, right? And for that reason, like, if we are talking about agriculture or impact, these are comparably newer initiatives that we see. So it's a little bit harder to sell. Maybe we were talking about potential farmer clients, end users. So would you like to give them any other specific thing that you've seen so far with your potential investees or startups? When they do it, it works really like a charm. Do you have anything to tell them for the founders that are with us today?
Do you want to take the lead on this one? You've got quite a few Agritech.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just to keep an eye on this impact topic, because each company in EU from 1st of January this year, and it will be even more next year, will have to report not only financials but also so-called ESGs. So I mean, this is the trend that is raising, and actually nothing else to add. Nothing to add.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, like ESGs will be a kind of a barrier as well. Like even like traditional financing, we work with a lot of different banks, and all of them are trying to ask for like impact reports for even traditional new investments. If you are going to set up a factory, then you need to have your impact report to get the financials that you wanted from a bank as well. As would you like to add something else to this?
Yeah, I guess really to elaborate on that, look at the data, look at where investors are investing and why. What is it that's got their interest? What are the trends that they're following? And make sure that when you're pitching to them, that your solution and your narrative ties in to the trends that the investors are following. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that you can do.
Sorry for that. I mean, I needed to mute myself for a second because because of the ambulances, as you can imagine, in London. So it almost started. So, and we had a question. I mean, we can. I was just trying to read that as well, but I don't see the question. So Mehmet wrote something, but it is just overlap of agriculture with sustainability. Like, I think there is kind of a natural bond with them because agriculture creates one of the things that we need to sustain on. And if you go back to, as Domo mentioned, like sustainability development goals, there's also hunger, right? There's also equality to access to living conditions. So I think from the generation of it, it affects sustainability in specific way. And I think we realized that land, water is quite limited. I don't think that was the case in 70s. Basically, we wanted to have some parts of the, so we used to have like ships of cacao butter coming from Caribbean country to UK to be processed, then sent to US to be sold. So it was really created complicated situations. Would you like to add something on that? Like agriculture and sustainability, do you think that they are going hand to hand?
I would say it goes, yeah.
I certainly couldn't disagree with that. I think, yeah, 100%.
One other person also asked about the drones and robotics. How do you see the efficiency and the sustainable ways of those hardwares technically?
Yeah, actually, I've seen at least 10 startups in my region with these drones, and we actually in my last portfolio we had also one. I mean, this is nice, but you also have a satellite pictures, which is also nice. So I think it's overbooming of these technologies with the drones and with the supervisory of this. Yeah,
it is kind of already overcrowded.
Yeah, I would say so.
Values with the coming drone companies. I mean, personally, this is kind of my thing as well. Like we've seen a lot of drone companies, they started to do like agricultural stuff for precision agriculture. But sometimes, as you mentioned, like those inputs doesn't relate to the farmers itself because they know the precision 1 square meter needs to be watered. But if they don't act on the information, it doesn't really make any sense. Like the drones can do it, a lot of stuff, but still you need people to act on the insights that you get it from the drones. Yeah. Okay. I mean, thank you very much. Like we had a limited time and I already enjoyed what we had so far. And we would love to, like Domagoj, we met just now. So if you want to share your portfolio with our partner companies, if they are interested in partnering up with other companies and everything, we are happy to do it. As you've been joining our sessions since last year, so I'm always happy to see you here. And thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And for the people who joined us to discuss, we are looking forward for your comments and inputs for the upcoming programs. Thank you guys very much.